Hey everyone, I'm Jeff from InThirdPerson.com, personal look at video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits, and we are back with another head-to-head mic comparison. This time we are pitting the Blue Yeti Nano up against the Shure MV7, and this is a little bit of an apples to apples comparison because one of these, the blue, is a condenser microphone. The Shure MV7 is a dynamic microphone. The the prices is going to vary depending on where you are and at what time you're watching this video. This Shure mic is about 3 times as expensive as the Blue Yeti Nano. So I wanted to do a head-to-head comparison, both with the mics straight out of the box, no filtering, no processing or anything, and then put them head-to-head again, but this time with all of the processing and effects that I use to make both of these mics sound their best. So yeah, follow along, and I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope it helps you make an informed decision on which microphone to buy or which one to upgrade to. All right, let me start with this one. All right, I should have also mentioned that I will have labels on the screen to denote which one I'm talking through at this point in time. And right now we are speaking through the Blue Yeti Nano. And this is a mic I've had since I believe I bought it at the very end of 2019. I was upgrading from a Blue Snowball, and I really like the mic. And you're probably wondering, why would you like this mic when you can hear all the background noise and stuff like that? We'll get to it in a sec. So, general technology behind this microphone, it is a cardioid mic. It is, condenser mic. That's the proper term. It's a condenser mic. These are great in studio environments. They're great for picking up musical instruments. They're also very popular in terms of USB mics that are marketed towards streamers, and we're going to be talking about it primarily from a streaming capacity because I am a streamer as well. And they're also cheaper. They are notably cheaper than a dynamic mic like this. And I generally like the sound of the condenser mic, but they are also very sensitive to noise because they're meant to be used in a studio. And most of the people that buy these aren't in a studio. I am in a basement, and if I stay quiet here, you can probably hear a little bit of background noise from my computer. You're gonna hear stuff like clicks as I'm typing. And I think that's kind of one of the challenges that people have with dynamic mics. I will show you some ways to mitigate a lot of that noise to make the sound better. Some other notes here in terms of functionality. We've got a knob on the front with that green light that lets you control what you hear in your headphones, because you can plug your headphones in here to monitor your voice. And you can also change the pickup pattern. So normally the front of the mic is right here. For anyone talking, it's not up here. For the Blue specifically, it's over here. You want to talk like this and not up here. Sorry, that's a complete aside. But normally it picks up sound from the front here and then goes outwards. So this is great if it's just one person talking, but if you want to use it in a podcast environment and you've only got this one mic, you can switch it to omnidirectional and it'll pick up sound equally from all the way around. All right, let's go switch over to... Now we're talking on the Shure MV7, and this is a dynamic microphone, and these are often used for vocals in live performances because they are much better at background noise rejection. So if I just stay quiet here, you're not going to hear any of the background noise in my room whatsoever, which is going to be a big benefit for streamers in particular. You're hitting buttons, you might be bumping the desk here and there, and that noise rejection is a big selling point. That being said, I do find the sound to be a little duller out of the box, and that's kind of by design, but there are ways of adjusting that as well. And I will, just as a side note, the foam here doesn't do a great job at stopping plosives. I guess both mics aren't great at, plosives. stopping that, I used to use this for my Blue Yeti Nano to kind of mitigate that. You might see like the circle fly swatter sort of deal you can use as well. I'm looking into getting a different um, foam thing to mitigate it a little better on the Shure MV7. Some other things to note about the Shure MV7. This is a USB and XLR microphone. So let me try and move the mic here. I apologize for the noise. It's connected via USB right now, but it does have an XLR port right here, which I know you can't see very well, but it's there. And one of the benefits to that is if you want to upgrade to a more professional studio setup with a mixer, you can use that mic for that in the future. But right now, I just want to plug and play and with USB, and this mic lets me do that as well. It's also got software. I mean, the Blue has software that's completely useless. Don't even worry about it. The Shure software is a little better. It's Shure Motive, and you'll want to download it for some access to some audio presets in terms of adjusting the EQ and the compression and the limiter and all that. I personally prefer my custom settings inside OBS, which I will show you shortly. And this also has a bit more control than the Blue mic because you can actually control the microphone volume here. You can control your headphone volume. You can also control how much you hear of each thing, which is a really nice touch. Okay, let me make a quick adjustment here to the Blue microphone, and then you can hear what the Blue sounds like with all of the effects, and I'll show you how I got it to sound that way. Okay, let me close this. And now we are talking on the Blue microphone, but this time we have all of the effects that I like to put onto this mic. And you should notice that my sound is a little different. In particular, there shouldn't really be any background noise. Let me be quiet here. And it should be minimal to none. And the sound should be a little brighter and a little fuller as well. And let me show you how I did that. Let's hop over to the browser. Sorry, my browser settings here. And I'm still talking out of the correct microphone. I had an issue the last time I recorded it. And let me show you my filter settings here. So inside OBS, some of the things that I do are, make sure to have these in the correct order. I start with noise suppression, and the first thing is you'll want to pick, of these three, I personally like Speaks, even though OBS says it's low CPU usage, low quality. I actually think it's the best of the bunch. I find that the RNN noise is a little too aggressive. Like, it starts to cut off stuff when I start to laugh. I also use a voice changer on stream, and it starts to cut off my voice during certain effects. And then I find the NVIDIA one isn't good enough. You'll hear like a weird effect where I'll be talking and then you'll hear background noise and then it'll fade. And it doesn't really do a good job of removing background noise, the NVIDIA one. So I like to use Speaks in OBS, and I've got it set to -10. So the lower the volume, the more it's suppressing noise. And yeah, I've got it set to -10 right now. We've also got a noise gate here, which is kind of like a more brute force way of removing noise. If it's too quiet, it doesn't hear it at all. If it's and so like if I'm doing something like this, I'm tapping the desk and you can hear it in the mic. At a certain point, if I nudge it softly enough, I can still hear it as a human in real life, but the mic won't pick it up. So I'll use my finger here to mimic what I'm doing on the desk. Yeah, so I was tapping some of the times, and then later, like the later hits, you didn't hear it all, and that's what the noise gate is for. We've also got and don't mind I said MV7 with the EQ. I will show you how to do that. So I personally use a VST called Reaper, and I've installed it into my OBS and have tweaked the EQ settings to be like this. I am not the expert to explain what all of these do and how they impact my voice, but I will put a video on how to do that. So I will at least show you how each of these tabs, there's a low shelf on tab 1. Tab 2 is this bump right here to bring up the bass. This tab here brings down the boxiness. Make note of these numbers if you want to copy these exactly, though again, I don't recommend you copy them exactly. Tweak it to make your voice sound its best. There's track 4 or band 4, and then band 5 is the high shelf. If you're looking at how to do it, I have a microphone guide on my website, inthirdperson.com. And if you scroll down, and I'll put the link in the YouTube description below, there is a video that I use from this guy right here, from Ryan Freeman. And I have been using this to EQ for some time now. It's my favorite resource that simplified the process. I would use this as your starting point to customizing it to sound what's best for you. And a couple more settings here. This is the compressor. I've got it set to 4:1, which is kind of the industry standard. Compression is it takes your highs and like cuts them, presses them in, and then your lows and then brings them up. So this is when sometimes you might be talking really quietly and it brings the volume up. And if you're talking really loud, it brings it down to give you a more consistent sound. 4:1 as a ratio is kind of an industry standard. And then you can tweak all of these other settings to what best suits you. And then last but not least, we've got a limiter here, which is just to prevent you from clipping and going past 0. I've got it at 0.1, though this mic doesn't, depending on how you set your volume, you shouldn't go anywhere near there, but just in case, we've got that set up there as well. Okay, let's go back to the test here. And we will switch the mic over to, this is now the Shure MV7 microphone with all of the processing and effects that I like. And I will admit, it's taken me some time to figure out how to make this mic sound its best. I applied the original settings that I had to the blue and it sounded horrible. I think that might have been when I plugged it in, I didn't have Shure Motive installed, and that might have done it. But it took me some time to find a way to make this mic not sound dull. And I'm happy with the settings here. They're actually very similar to what I used for the blue, but they're adjusted ever so slightly to get it to work in a more ideal manner. So let's go back to the browser. Sorry for the awkward quiet pause there. I had to change my mic input inside the inside the scene in OBS, and I'll just show you some of the settings I have here. Don't mind anything that's like closed. It's taken me a couple of days to get this right. Again, I use Speaks. However, I go less aggressive with this one. So I go -3. I pretty much try and get it to like as minimal as possible, because the farther you go, the more it negatively impacts the sound. So -3 was as low as I could go before you could start hearing background noise. And we've also got the noise gate. I've actually lowered the noise gate settings because this mic is already really good at rejecting background noise. So I've lowered the threshold by about 10 decibels so that it's still mitigating some noise that might be picked up, but you can lower the gate if you are using something like this. The EQ, I actually used the same EQ. I actually figured it out for this mic first and then applied it. It's the same EQ for both. Realistically, though, you're probably going to EQ each mic if you happen to have both. You'll want to EQ each mic differently for what is best for your voice on that mic, because mics pick up. Every mic is different, and you'll want to fine-tune the sound that way. And then the compressor settings are the same, and the limiter as well. So the big differences being the noise suppression and the noise gate being different here. Okay. So let's go back to this main scene, and actually, you know what? Yeah, let's go and talk about, no, let's do a head-to-head. Let's do the head-to-head on the having both of these. I will read a phrase on all of these mics in the raw and processed, and then I'll provide my closing thoughts. So here we go. When we'll start with the Blue Yeti Nano raw and go from there. Being wealthy and popular throughout high school has made Haley a little conceited and self-centered. She has a tendency to judge people for superficial reasons, but is it too late for her to discover a deeper meaning to life? Is there a fun, open-minded young woman hidden within that candy-coated shell? Being wealthy and popular throughout high school has made Haley a little conceited and self-centered. She has a tendency to judge people for superficial reasons, but is it too late for her to discover a deeper meaning to life? Is there a fun, open-minded young woman hidden within that candy-coated shell? Being wealthy and popular throughout high school has made Haley a little conceited and self-centered. She has a tendency to judge people for superficial reasons, but is it too late for her to discover a deeper meaning to life? Is there a fun, open-minded young woman hidden within that candy-coated shell? Being wealthy and popular throughout high school has made Haley a little conceited and self-centered. She has a tendency to judge people for superficial reasons, but is it too late for her to discover a deeper meaning to life? Is there a fun, open-minded young woman hidden within that candy-coated shell? All right, so that is both of the microphones. We did one round of this with the same phrase without any sort of processing between the two, and then one round with both of them having the processing on. And you can judge for yourself which of these mics do you prefer the sound of. And I think that both of them they're both good. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Nano. I still think that it is a great microphone. It does need a little extra help in terms of noise rejection to be used practically for streams. That said, I do think that this sounds great. The Shure also sounds really good. It does sound, the noise rejection is great out of the box, but I do find the sound to be a little flat. That being said, with the processing and effects, it does sound, I think, ultimately better than this. But are you willing to pay 3 times as much money for this one than this one? For certain people, that might be a yes. For others, that may be no. And in particular, where you would say yes to this, if you're doing a podcast, then absolutely go with this to get you something closer to a radio/podcast quality mic. For the purposes of streaming, I think this is probably fine. And if you've just got the money to spend and you are really excited about getting that sort of radio sound, this is probably worth it for you. Or if you want to upgrade to an XLR setup someday with multiple microphones, or even just the one, you can use this one because it's got the XLR port on it, and you can make that jump someday with the Shure MV7. All right, I hope this video helps you in your decision-making process. I know mics they're a valuable piece of your video and streaming setup. And you kind of want to spend, you probably don't want to spend too much to get the right solution for you. So yeah, which one do you think works best for your budget and based on the sound quality? Do you like the Blue Yeti Nano? Do you like the Shure MV7? Let me know in the comments. And I guess a couple more quick plugs. You can find me on Twitch over at twitch.tv/inthirdperson. Can I actually run a bumper on this particular screen? Yeah, I stream on Twitch every week, and you can also find me on all the other platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'm posting stuff there all the time. And last but not least, check out the website inthirdperson.com for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits, including my guide, step-by-step guide on how to configure a microphone to sound its best. All right, so until next time, I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you later.